Hi, this is Greg with Lionquestfitness. Today we're going to talk about breaking contact, cover, and concealment. So what is breaking contact? Well, suppose you are in a situation where you may have to use deadly force to protect your life or the life of someone else against a very threatening, deadly, imminent attack. Breaking contact is making that initial contact with a firearm or some other implement and then getting back, retreating. Now, I live in a stand your ground state. However, I strongly advise anybody, if you can retreat from a deadly situation, even if you do have to make a contact, that you break that contact and retreat. So what is cover? Well, obviously that barrel can be penetrated by bullets. Okay, but in practice it can represent cover. Cover is some type of a material that will stop bullets, whereas concealment is some type of camouflage. Now, the reason you use cover and concealment is to put something between you and those rapscallions, or rapscallion who means harm. Either some type of barrier or something to hide yourself to get away from them. So today we have 3 rapscallions, or maybe 1 or 2 rapscallions that are moving. And we also have 2 reactive targets, supposing that maybe they're ducking down. And what we're going to shoot today is an FN compact 40. Now, a lot of people will say 40 caliber is dead. Well, not exactly. For one thing, there are so many 40 caliber pistols flooded the market over the last few years for police trade-ins that there's still going to be a market for 40 caliber. And I also would like to remind those of you who remember the ammo shortage from a few years back, 40 caliber was one of the rounds that you could find. Now, I got this gun used, and that's another reason for going to 40, because you can find some guns in some very good shape. This one's about 10 years old that have never been fired very often. So let's talk about our tactics. Now, if you have multiple adversaries, you want to hit the first one, 2 shots, and then the other 2 or the other 1 or 2 shots. Then you make your way back. You try to put something, a barrier, either cover, preferably cover, especially if you're carrying a revolver where you can possibly reload, but get behind some type of cover or concealment, or use them as a barrier as you back away. Now, you might ask, Greg, why are you shooting a pistol today, a semi-automatic pistol? Well, sometimes I like to remind people that sometimes I do carry, in certain situations, a semi-auto pistol. And just because I carry a revolver most of the time doesn't mean I don't ever train before. So let's go ahead and see how this is going to look. Hey, back off! Well, I missed that one the first shot, and I went ahead and got that one and came back to this one. Ooh. Quite savage, I do believe. I would not want to get shot by a 40 caliber. Right here, right here, right here. I think that would have bought me some time to get out of there. Now, one thing I want to remind you is that there are literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of incidents every year where just the sight of a firearm stops an attack. Beyond that, there are many situations, especially with numbers, where after the first shot, once again, lead guy stops an attack. Now, there are those outliers, very rare statistically, but you still need to keep that in mind and train for it, where you have a group of very determined, maybe drug, alcohol-fueled, adrenaline-fueled attackers. And it's something to always try to prepare for. So this is Greg with Lionquest Fitness.